Oh, shame is a prison as cruel as a grave. Shame is a robber, and he's come to take my name. Oh, love is my redeemer, lifting me up from the ground. Love is the power where my freedom song is found. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, I'm gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Oh, fear is a liar with a smooth and velvet tongue. Fear is a tyrant, and he's telling me to run. Oh, love is a resurrection, and love is a trumpet sound. Love is my weapon, I'm gonna take my giants down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, I'm gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Oh, there was a battle, a war between death and life, and there on the tree the Lamb of God was crucified, and he went down to hell. He took back every key. He rose up as a lion, gonna set the captives free. There ain't no grave could hold his body down. There ain't no grave could hold his body down. When you hear that trumpet sound, he rose up out of the ground. There ain't no grave could hold his body down. Oh, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too.
Lately, I've been thinking a lot about light. Light here is a wonderful thing. It lets us see things. It gives us heat to live. Um, there would be no life without light, that's for sure. So, fun facts about light. Light is the fastest thing in the universe. It can travel about 300,000 kilometers a second. It takes light about 8 minutes to get from the sun to the earth. So when you look at the sun, you're seeing what the sun looked like 8 minutes ago. It really is a really cool and an interesting thing, you know? We kind of take it for granted how interesting it is. Because like I said, there wouldn't be any light without, there wouldn't be any life without light. And the Bible uses light as a symbol a few times. And so we're going to talk about one of the ways that light is used today. So Matthew 5:14-16 says this: "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So Jesus says here, he says that you are the light of the world, and he's talking to his disciples. So specifically, if you're a Jesus follower here, he's talking to you. He's saying you are the light of the world. And then he says, it's kind of silly to light a light and then to hide it where it's not going to be any use. And then he says, let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. He's saying, let the way that you live reveal who God is. Let your actions, your words, your thoughts all point to who God is and what God is like. So how do we do that? What is God like, really? There's a really interesting verse that is quoted very many times throughout the Bible. I'm going to read one instance of it for you. Psalm 145, verse 8. "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love." So this verse, it's very interesting. I just read one instance of it for you in the book of Psalms, Psalm 145. But it's actually quoted 20 times throughout the Bible. So that's pretty significant. And again, it goes like this: "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love." Now, this verse is about the character of God, and its first appearance is actually in Exodus. I'm reading it in Psalms, but you first run into it in Exodus, in this kind of dramatic scene where the people of Israel, who are supposed to be God's people, they abandon God. So Moses goes up on the mountain to kind of receive God's commandments, and while he's gone, the people build an idol for themselves, and they start worshiping it, and they start giving it all the credit for them getting out of Egypt and all that stuff that just happened. And so God gets, understandably mad that all the stuff that he's done for them is just being thrown by the wayside, and credit is given to something that, obviously isn't a God. They just kind of made it themselves, and they slapped the label of God on it. And God, even though he's justifiably angry in this moment, chooses to forgive them. And then he makes a statement about about his character. And his character and that pattern of God's grace and forgiveness is repeated throughout the entirety of Scripture. And again, I'm going to read that verse for you one more time. "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love." So if that's what God is like, how do we show that God is like that? I mean, the easy answer is just that we need to be gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and rich in love. There's the Bible has a lot to say on what this looks like, but I will just read you one more verse. It's Galatians 5:22-23, and it goes like this: But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, in this verse, this is Paul who wrote this, and Paul is specifically talking about what it looks like to live a life filled with God's Spirit. So if you have God's Spirit in you, this is kind of what your life should look like. You should be, not that you would be perfect, but you should be, more loving than you were before, full of joy, full of peace, full of patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And all of those things, if you wrap those things up in your heart and you start living those attributes out in your day-to-day life, you will reveal that there is a God who is compassionate and gracious, who is patient, and so rich and overflowing in love. And when you do that, when you live a life full of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, almost missed one, and self-control, you will shine a light on who God is. Thanks for listening.